Hey folks, it's Josh, and it is April 15th, so hopefully you've done your taxes. If not, get to it, because they're due. I want to do a quick video today. I don't have a lot of time, but I just wanted to sort of show what I've done here. This is my A5 vendor spec binder that I've had for, I guess, about a month now. Maybe more than that. It is lovely. It's holding up beautifully. I love how it feels. I love how it smells. And I love that despite the fact that it is a large binder, it's quite lightweight. Like, the binder itself is not heavy, which I think I've mentioned before. But anyway, but the real reason why I'm here today is because I had bought this binder to serve as a work planner. I was going to separate my life into work and personal, and use my Winchester as my personal planner and this as my work planner. I tried to do that for one full week. I tried to do that and just found it was total chaos. And I think even beyond just being chaotic, it was wasting my time, because I was having to, every time I wrote something in one planner, I found myself having to think about, do I need to have this in the other planner? Or not. You know, if I had an event if I had a personal event that was scheduled immediately after work, I would wonder, should I have that in my work planner? And the answer was yes, I should, because the thing is, I wasn't looking at my personal planner at work, and it would be very likely that I would be looking at my work planner and not see that I had anything after work scheduled. And so when I left work, I would just go home, and I'd get home and maybe an hour later open my personal planner and look and see, oh my god, I just missed something. During the 1 week that I was doing this, I did double book myself 3 times. I was frenzied and flustered, and it was just total chaos. I think using 2 planners probably works well for some people. I think very highly organized people with highly structured lives can probably get away with doing this. I think for me I am neither of those things, and so I have a lot of gray. My work life naturally sort of extends into my personal time, and to some degree vice versa. I find, you know, I don't have clearly defined, I don't get in the car and go to the office and at the end of the day drive home and start my personal life. There's a lot of gray there. I do a lot of things before and after work that might be work related, might be personal related, might be sort of a mixture of both. I go to events because they're interesting to me, but they're also somewhat work related, with similar audience to who I deal with at work. They're kind of networking related sort of events, and so it's just very difficult for me to just draw a clear line, like, this is work, everything from here over is work, and everything from here over is not. It's just not how my life works. So anyway, the thing is, though, is that I found this size planner really not. I've always hated A5 planners because I just thought they were so big. But after using this for a little while, I realized it's really nice, and it actually fits my life better. So I just wanted to sort of do a quick little flip through. I can't show you everything because I think I now have a lot of personal information in here, but I did want to kind of look through. So first things first, you see I don't really have anything here. I have some business cards in this pocket. These pockets, I think somebody had asked me if they were very tight, but they're not. This binder does have the stiffener in it, but it's not in any way stiff. The card slots are fine. Cards slide in and out of them easily. This is probably the tightest pocket on the whole binder, but I don't find it difficult to get things in and out of particularly. This one is quite loose, as are these two. I actually had the business cards vertically in these 2 pockets, but they're actually not really tight, and even with, like, a stack of 6 or 8 business cards in there, they were a little, I kept finding that they would be sliding out as I carried the binder around, so that's why I put them in this deeper pocket where they were a little less likely to get lost. this is the time system page lifter. I did a video on this if you're wondering, but basically they help the large ring binder manage its pages better when you're closing the binder. So I have the cover sheet, and then I've actually been these, let me get to one that's not, yes, so this is what these look like blank. Most of them are filled. This binder is big enough, and I always like to have my address book in my binder, but for the past few months I've not had my address book in my planner. I've had it in a separate binder at home. Because this is the tabbed divider, I can write a good number of my contacts go straight on this. I just write, name and address, and then the phone numbers over here. I like this very minimalistic view, and it's much, I found as I was copying this information in here from my smaller, it's in a Franklin Covey compact size now. It's much easier to write this information out on this size page, so that's been really nice, and I can get that all back in here. They have untabbed blank pages. Actually, do I have some? Yes. So they look like exactly the same. So as I need expansion, I can't fit everybody on that one page. I just go for it. Pop those in between. So the A contacts are on the front, the B are on the back, C on the front, D on the back, etc. I also file all of my notes and things in here alphabetically. The one thing I pulled out was expenses. These inserts are actually 5.5 inch by 8.5 inch, and I found that the 7-hole punched US stuff will re-punch to fit this, and it works fine. It looks a little silly, but it works just fine. So I have the expenses tab. It came with expenses sheets. I just put one in for each of my rental properties. I can just write the date, a description of what I paid, and the amount, and then you can total it out. So I like to do those per fiscal year. Thankfully we're not that, or per tax year. So I haven't done that much yet this year, so it will be easy for me to transfer the few things that I've done so far onto this, and then I'll have a nice clean list for tax season next year. But I also ordered the Franklin Covey check registers in the classic size, which I will repunch to put in here for my I have 2 checking accounts and 1 savings account, so I'll just keep a running register for each account in here. I know some people wouldn't be comfortable with having that with them all the time, but it's just so much more convenient for me that I find it to work well. So the sort of meat of my planner where it's open to most of the time are my, this is the day timer, day on 2 pages. Here's what they look like blank. As I say, I just carefully re-punched these with my A5 size 6-hole punch. You see that the bottom holes overlap, but the other ones do not. One note that I will make about this binder: the rings are a larger gauge. The thickness, like the actual size of the ring metal, is bigger, or numerically smaller gauge than what you find in a Filofax A5 or similar. Which is a good thing. That means that they're more sturdy. But because the holes for the A5 size are quite small, it means that there's not a lot of give. And so that makes, when you're trying to flip pages, they have a tendency to kind of not want to move on the rings very easily. And you kind of have to help them along. It's very different from when I was working in my personal size Winchester. Pages just effortlessly flip. There's no care involved, but this one you really do kind of have to you have to kind of get your hand on, if you're flipping many pages, or even just one, sometimes they'll kind of bind as they, and I thought for a while it was some defect with the rings, but I finally realized, I was looking at it, it's just that the rings, the holes are really not much bigger than the rings are, so they're just that much more likely to bind, just friction on the rings. So anyway, I don't find it particularly bothersome. It was just something I had to get used to. And as I use it more, I find that they seem to move more easily as the holes, I think, get a little bit burnished, smooth from moving back and forth. But anyway, this is a pretty typical day. I have a list of to-dos. I had some other to-dos that came up during that day that I just listed separately. I scheduled my time. All of my contact type tasks, so email, phone call type stuff, I put in this call log down here. If I take calls during the day, I jot them in there. I was keeping, this was sort of things to delegate to my staff, but more recently, when I went back to when I combined my work and personal back together, I started using my little stamp down here. So I list my personal tasks here, and then this on weekdays, and then this is my task list and my notes. And then on the weekend, which were very quiet this weekend, but I would just, on the weekend, since I'm not at work, I would just write my personal to-do list in the to-do space. And as you see, I don't really write much on the weekend. I know everybody criticizes Filofax for shrinking the weekend planning space. I don't really like that either, but I will say I typically on the weekend I don't have nearly as much going on as I do during the weekday. So you know, it's like I run errands, and on weekdays I will easily have 20 tasks to do, and a few meetings, and etc. And on a weekend I might have like 5 errands to run and 5 chores to do. So anywho, so that's the meat of it. I do have the Daytimer tabbed month pages that I just inserted at the beginning of each month in the weekly pages, just so it's easier. Mostly it gives me an overview of the month, and I can mark off all day events, pay dates, stuff like that. But it also gives me, I can quickly flip to August, and it gets me to the 1st of August, or September, or October, etc. So it helps me kind of navigate the weekly planner. I have tried using the month on 2 pages and not having weeklies, but I find it difficult because I have my system employs a lot of ticklers. So I realize that I need to look at something on May 1st, and so I write that in. But I would also write any scheduling. So I usually will use one side for scheduling, the other side for tasks, and it's very difficult to write that much information on the month to view type calendar. What they do give you is a monthly to-do list on the back, but again, that's not as helpful. I like to kind of be able to just plot it out. There are things that I just need to do sometime in April, but there are also things that I need to do on specific days in April, and I like to be able to fit both of those. And that's why I just went with the week per page plus the month per page plus the week on 2 pages. Fish sent me a sample run of her life managing inserts, and frankly I've been so busy lately, and what with the overwhelm of trying to deal with this bifurcated work and personal planning system that wasn't working very well, and then trying to reconsolidate back into one, I just haven't really had time to deal with this. So this is the only page of that system that I have in here right now. These are the 5.5 by 8.5 size. They were really easy to print and cut and punch. The way that they're designed, it just spits right out of the printer, no problem. It's a very cool system, and I just haven't had time to kind of figure out how to make it work for me. So I did try last week just to put, this was what I had tried to do. So if I had myself open to my day, I could see my weekly to-do list alongside, or not. If I didn't want to see it, I could hide it, but if I wanted to see it, I could fold it out. So that was sort of what I had in mind. I think that this is designed to use the other way, so you can look at the week appointments alongside your day page or whatever, but this was just what I did. And then a lot of things last week that were on my to-do list I didn't actually get done. It was kind of a crazy week. So I just moved the same page forward to, well, I'm still working off that to-do list. I didn't move it forward. I'm on week 16. These are the ruler page finders that come with the vendor spec inserts. I, for some reason, I didn't get one, and Petrif kindly contacted me and said, oh, you were supposed to get one. I'll send you one. And I wrote her back and said, well, I would actually like to have 2, so can you please invoice me for one of them? And she didn't invoice me, she just sent me 4. So now I have 4 of them. They're very nice. They're clear enough that I can read through them, which is nice. They are thick enough that they are easy to, like, they really do work well to kind of get you straight to where you need to go. They attach and unattach from the rings really easily. They're quite flexible. And yeah, and most importantly, they protrude from the top and the bottom. So when the binder is sitting in front of me like this, I can find the page lifter from this side and flip to today. I don't need to reach from the top, which I find really kind of, that's how a lot of them are designed, and I find that really stupid. It's like, who sits with, like, the planner like this? So anyway, so these weekly pages came with the binder. They're fine. They're very thin. The elongated holes plus the middle hole mean that I can store these in the same storage binder that my day pages came from. They fit in a US 3 ring half letter size binder. So I think it also looks like if you had a lever arch, if you're in Europe and you had a lever arch file binder in A5 size, it looks like, whether it was a 2 ring or a 4 ring, because of the elongated holes, it looks like they would fit into one of those binders. So that's nice too. These will not fit, you can see, well, you can't really see, but these would not fit in a 7 ring binder because they're missing these 2 holes. So anyway, so that's sort of where things are at, guys. I have in the back here, well, I have the gusseted pocket, which is, I just emptied it out yesterday. I have note cards and envelopes and some stamps back here in the zip pocket. If I can close it. And yeah, it's just a beautiful, beautiful binder. I wish that I had known that you could get 2 pen loops, because as you see, I had to add an adhesive one because I need to have I use pen and pencil routinely. I use pencil for scheduling because I've learned my lesson that everybody reschedules everything. So, but I use a pen for everything else, and it would be really nice to be able to just put the pencil on the front cover, but it's not a big deal. So anyway, that's the binder. This went on for longer than I was intending, 20 minutes, so I'll stop. But let me know if you have any questions. This is really beautiful. It feels great, and like I said, it's not terribly heavy. So Thanks for watching, and we'll talk soon.